Hey everybody, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder, your self-proclaimed metal mogul. In this video, I am going to show you my, it's a label collection. It's my Roadrunner, Roadracer albums that I have on vinyl. So this is a bit of a response to Mark G with a C. He's doing a series of videos where he shows his favourite albums on certain labels. And his latest episode, which I will leave a link below, is of Roadrunner, a classic metal label from the 80s and further on from that as well. So Mark showed quite a few albums, not everything he had, but his favourite ones. But he kind of pointed out that he didn't have a lot of their stuff on vinyl. Most of his is on CD. He's a massive CD collector. In fact, he collects all formats. And I had a quick look at my collection and realised that I had very, very few CDs, but quite a lot of vinyl. I think I've got best part of 40 records to show in this one. So it's going to be a long one, and I do not apologise for that at all. Set your VCRs if you can't watch it all in one go and come back and see all this beautiful vinyl records from Roadrunner and Roadracer that I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show them in date order as well. So I have got quite a few albums, best part of 40, ranging from 1984 all the way up to 1991. I'm not going to be able to go into detail on too many of them. I would love to, but this is going to be pretty long as it is. So let's get going. First up, from 1984, this is a Dutch band called Blackout and Evil Game. And this is actually a Canadian pressing. These are a one and done band. They're a sort of straight up heavy metal band. Really good. Slightly obscure, not well known, but a good album nonetheless. Next up, shown in many a so good it's or so bad it's good album cover videos. This is Attacker, Battle at Helm's Deep. There's so much wrong with this cover, even down to the fact that none of the text is centered, which destroys my OCD. But Attacker are a US metal band from New Jersey, straight up heavy metal. This is their debut album on Roadrunner. Do you know what? I'll show you the label. So most of these pressings, probably 90% of these pressings, are going to be made in the Netherlands, Dutch, and they're all going to have that label, but with obviously a different band and album title on. So to keep things a little smoother, I'm not going to show anything on the inside unless there is something that is particularly worth showing, or it's a slightly different pressing or what have you. Roadrunner are a band that had a label that had a few of their own bands signed to them, but they also did redistributed a lot of other labels like Metal Blade. You'll see a lot here, Megaforce, Shrapnel as well. So next up we have Hat-Trick, who are from Chicago. We're in 1985 now, and they sound a lot better than they look. It's another one and done band, straight up heavy metal. Roadrunner obviously used to have, they were kind of famous for having to stop drugs, but drugs weren't a problem in 1985, or at least not one we needed to warn the kids about just yet. Slayer, Halloween, 1985, classic big four thrash metal. It often annoys me when people say it needs no introduction, but honestly, it needs no introduction. Oh, one thing I noticed about this album, I never noticed that this dude was actually missing a foot before. Not only is this devilish creature looking like he's garrotting or cutting his head off. In fact, he's removed his head with a spike there, hasn't he? I just noticed he's missing a foot as well. Another all-time classic, Stormtroopers of Death, Speak English or Die, thrash crossover from a bit of a supergroup. Billy Milano, Scott Ian, Charlie Benante and Dan Lilka. Iconic album. Absolutely brilliant. They were on Megaforce, I think. Next up from Canada, Thor, Only the Strong. Horrible sticker damage up here, but I had this as VCLT from Greg the Egg a long time ago. This is actually a Canadian pressing, I think. Yeah, it would have been on Enigma, so it's licensed from Enigma to Roadrunner. But Thor, Only the Strong. And I'm not showing favourites, I'm also showing albums that are potentially a bit shit, I've got to say it. And this is probably top of the pile. I thought I'd show my whole collection, why not? Most of them I really enjoy and love, but Aaron's Rod, Illusions Kill is not one of them. They kind of look like they should be good, it has so much potential. Here we go, drugs are starting to be a problem. We're in 1986 now, but Aaron's Rod are from Hawaii, and this is Illusions Kill, and yeah, least said about that, the better. I've not shown this one yet. This is probably going to come up in my next update. Metal Mickey gave me a heads up on eBay, and I grabbed it. This is Dr. Mastermind, a US metal outfit. They're a three-piece. It's a bit shreddy metal. Pretty good. Not fantastic, but pretty good. But what I was looking for a long time. The mighty Flotsam and Jetsam. Doomsday for the Deceiver debut album. And obligatory comment is, I have to say, it's got I was going to say James Hetfield, not James Hetfield, Jason Newsted, who moved to Metallica, obviously, but everybody has to say that. One of these really annoying albums where the track listing on the back does not match the album. I actually have a couple of copies of that one. My favourite Flotsam and Jetsam album by far. Also from 1986, Lizzie Borden, The Murderous Metal Roadshow. As double live albums go, and ones that I've only recently discovered from the 80s. This Lizzie Borden album is absolutely superb. It was the first Lizzie album that I actually bought. I thoroughly enjoyed. I've picked up a few studio albums since, mostly reissues, but The Murderous Metal Roadshow, really well worth checking out. This was an original Metal Blade release in the US. I think it was on there, but it's still on the Roadrunner label. Some of the Metal Blade releases on Roadrunner had Metal Blade labels, but they were all made in the Netherlands. The debut album from Tony McAlpine, some more very shreddy metal. I don't really remember too much about this one. Maximum Security was the album I had in the 80s that I liked. I liked a lot of this style of metal, neoclassical, heavy metal, rock. Features Billy Sheehan on this one, but I don't really remember this one too much. It's not one I've played a great deal. Flotzilla, 12-inch single from Flotsam and Jetsam, of course. Flotzilla is the single that the extra track that they've added to the reissue of Doomsday for the Deceiver, and they've frigged with the track list even more by putting that track in as well. It wasn't on the original album, it shouldn't be on the reissue, but I was delighted to find this one for sale recently for a great price. Had to add that to the collection. And I've got a lot of Roadrunner. In fact, they're one of the labels I have the most albums from, but I don't actually go out and collect them. It just shows what a great label it was, the fact that so many albums I want happen to be on the Roadrunner label. A little bit more shreddy metal, but also a proper band. This is the Mars project driver. Tony McAlpine, Tony Aldridge, Rudy Sarzo, and Robert Rock. When shredders go in a proper band and they have vocals and lyrics and all that, much more palatable. Much more palatable. That's not a bad album, actually, I've got to say. Oh, now this is a star in the collection. Paradox, product of imagination. We're in 1987 now. German thrash metal. Certain friend of mine in Germany, Jürgen, claims this album to be better than Master of Puppets. I don't really agree with him, but it is an absolutely fantastic thrash metal album. If you've not heard Paradox, product of imagination, then you're really missing out. You're really going to try and grab a copy of that one or give it a listen on YouTube. Some more Slayer. This is Live and Dead. Now I know I'm going in a date order, and I know you're probably thinking this is 1985, but no, this is the 1987 Roadrunner reissue on Roadrunner, of course. What I wanted this one rather than the original, because the original is a picture disc, and this has the Metal Blade Records logo, but it's on black vinyl. And I'm not really a big fan of picture discs because you don't get a proper cover, you don't get a lyric sheet, you don't get any inners at all. Whereas this one, I much prefer to have the black vinyl version of it, despite it being a reissue, but it's still an 80s copy. Two from the same band here. So we have Apocrypha, the Forgotten Souls, more sort of shreddy metal, more of a power metal feel to it as well. This came out on Roadrunner in 1988, but it was originally released in 1987 on Shrapnel. Obviously Roadrunner got the license for it, and they released this one and the follow-up the same year in 1988, The Eyes of Time. This was my introduction to Apocrypha. They become a 5-piece now, but this has a lot of over-the-top noodling, but it's also a really good album as well. Definitely recommend a little bit of Apocrypha if you've not heard of them. Mark alluded to the fact that Roadrunner have done a few sort of live EPs, and now while Mark's collection sort of favours the more of the extreme the death metal side, mine is very much in the standard straight up heavy metal and thrash, as is my general wheelhouse. But this is Armoured Saint live, Saints Will Conquer. This is a brilliant 6-track EP. It's such a shame it wasn't a full album. But there we go. Metal Blade as well, originally in the US. What next? We've got a couple more Shrapnel releases coming up. Here's one of them. Chastain, the voice of the cult. Again, Chastain, he's a shredder, but he's got a proper band. He's got Leather Leone on vocals here. And this is a great album because the shredding is... It's controlled, it's encased in a proper song, so the song flows, it has purpose, it has meaning, but he can also go off and noodle to his heart's content as well, just in the time that a standard song allows. But Chastain, the voice of the cult. Crimson Glory, Transcendence. It also takes me a lot longer to say that than it really should. Some more VCLT I got from Greg the Egg. Blackmore Rules. This is more sort of power metal from the US. This is a US pressing, so it is actually on Roadracer. Mark did a good job of explaining the difference between a Roadrunner and a Roadracer, so I would recommend you go and check out his video if you haven't already, and understand why Roadrunner and Roadracer are the same but different. But yes, Crimson Glory, Transcendence, brilliant album. I love this. Really good. Hellstar, a Distant Thunder. We're still in 1988 here. This is Texas heavy metal. Those hands always freaked me out. Again, this is straight up heavy metal. Metal Blade in the US. Still worried about drugs here, but this is a Roadrunner label. They're all Roadrunner labels. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I do. I can't help myself. No Place for Disgrace. My second favourite Flotsam and Jetsam album, and to be honest, this is where I drop off. I only need the first two. This was kind of my introduction to the band, but when I heard the debut, that just blew me away and put this one firmly into second place. I am not a fan at all of Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Sorry, Mark, I know you are, but the rest of it, absolutely killer album. And the thing that we have to say when we show this album is this is the band that Jason used to be in. It's the law of the VC. You cannot show that album without saying it. Mallet Head from Boston in the US. I've not played this for a long time. I know I like it, but it doesn't jump out to me as very, very memorable at all. So it's one I'm going to have to give a spin to again. This would have been on Frontier Records, or it's licensed from Frontier Records, but it's obviously for Roadrunner Records in Holland. Omen, Escape to Nowhere, more straight up heavy metal. Another Metal Blade band licensed to Roadrunner. I think this is their fourth album. Has Coben Farr on vocals. We'll come back to Coben in a few records time. He makes another appearance in here. Off to Australia now. Taramis, Queen of Thieves. Interesting cover. I think the original Aussie cover was slightly different, but this is third, fourth rate heavy metal. It's really not that good. It's one of those records I keep in my collection for when we talk about showing international albums. I can pull out the Australian record, but really not very good at all. Stars on Thrash, absolutely iconic. Roadrunner presents Stars on Thrash. Mark started his video off with this one, and like him, I was introduced to so many bands on here, but some of the bands I actually remember being completely put off. This album put me off Slayer. I did not like Slayer in the 80s because I heard it and thought, whoa, that's just not for me. Who else as well? Atrophy. Atrophy on here? They are, yes. Chemical Dependency. It wasn't a song I really got into. Pestilence as well, although I've since listened to that album on my death metal debuts. DRI I wasn't into, but there are a number of bands on here that I absolutely love. So Flotsam and Jetsam, Paradox I've talked about, Stormtroopers of Death. I think I've got about 8 or 9 of these albums, but I certainly wouldn't want to just pick up other albums just because they were on here. A couple more you will see showing up very soon, but this was cheap. This was something you could pick up with pocket money, and a massive influence on a lot of UK folks out there. I don't think it ever got a US release as such, although I know it's a well-known album across the globe now. It was on Stars on Thrash, and this was one of my favourite tracks that was on there. This is Snow White and Act of God, one of my favourite thrash albums of all time. Nicole Lee's vocals they're haunting on here. This top to bottom, this is an absolutely fantastic album. I don't have anything else by Snow White. I think they have about 2 or 3 releases, and this is all I have. But oh my god, one of the best albums in this Roadrunner collection by a country mile. Annihilator, Alice in Hell, my intro to Annihilator, their debut album. Canadian thrashers. Randy Rampage on vocals. It's a classic album. Saxon. Did you know Saxon were on Roadrunner? So this is a particularly low point in Saxon's career. Not in terms of this album. This is a live album, rock and roll. Gypsies. You can see with the track list there. There's Power and the Glories on here. It's from 1989. Nigel Glocker actually just rejoined the band. Nibs Carter had joined the band. I think this is the first recording that was officially released with Nibs Carter on bass. They were without a label at the time, and obviously put this album out, picked up by Roadrunner. It's decent. It's a decent live album. Single live album. Fairly decent track list, but it's very much of the era that Saxon were in at the time. But still, I love having it in my collection. It's Saxon, and I will collect pretty much anything Saxon. Another compilation. This one is nowhere near has the the iconic status of Stars on Thrash, but this is Guitar Masters, and we're into what, 89 now, and it's another budget price release. Introduction to the finest guitar metal, featuring Marty Friedman, Greg Howe, Racer X, and Apocrypha. I've shown my Apocrypha albums already. It's what you expect. It's shred-tastic. So we've got Marty Friedman, Greg Howe, Racer X, Apocrypha, Vicious Rumours. I actually want those 2 Vicious Rumours albums. They're high on my want list. Jason Becker, Cacophony, Joey Tafola, and the aforementioned Dr. Mastermind on here as well. It's shreddy metal. It's I loved it back in the day. Not so much now. Not so much a style I would go for with just the over-the-top noodling. We're getting through this a lot quicker than I expected. Another great album cover, which it all depends on your definition of great, and whether you enjoy looking at semi-naked men with a lot of red paint splattered on the wall. But this is Last Crack and Sinister Funk House 17. One of those albums that is way better than it looks. So interesting thing here is this is on Roadracer. Even though it's a Dutch pressing, I couldn't quite figure that out. In fact, does this one have... Yeah, so it has a Roadracer label as well, very similar to the Roadrunner. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure why, unless they just started around this time moving away from the Roadrunner label and becoming just sort of a single road racer. I'm not sure exactly why this one was put out on Roadracer and not Roadrunner. Now, this one's even more weird and mixed up in terms of the labelling. So it's Sacred Rights, Surf Nicaragua, 4-track EP. But so the cover has Metal Blade and Roadrunner, and we've got the Stop Drugs. But the label, I believe, says Roadracer. This is the only example where I've got a Roadracer label in a Roadrunner sleeve. That's also licensed from Metal Blade. So it's almost as though I've got the wrong record in the wrong sleeve or the wrong sleeve, wrong record, whichever way you want to look at it. But I don't know why they would do that. There's nothing on Discogs to suggest it's an anomaly or if it's a normal thing or not. But anyway, it's Sacred Reich. It's Nicaragua. Annihilator, second album, also came out on Roadrunner. And here we've got Coben Farr making an appearance again, formerly of Omen a year before, but now showing up on the second Annihilator album. Alice in Hell was my favourite until I heard this one, and I've slowly but surely gravitated towards Never Neverland. I think this is a better album now, and it may well be the vocals that help with that as well, but certainly songs like Phantasmagoria, Sixes and Sevens, it's fantastic album. Last four, we've got some more. Oh, they've fallen down. We've got some more Chastain for those who dare. A little bit more shreddy metal. Now, this is an absolutely fantastic album as well. Artillery from Denmark and their album by Inheritance. Logo change now. Now we're on Roadracer. Roadracer and the label. The label has changed. It's still made in the Netherlands, as pretty much all of these are, but a rebranding of the Roadracer label. So we're in the 1990s now, so it was obviously a new decade and a new face of Roadracer. But by Inheritance, this is a really, really good album. In fact, I like all the Artillery stuff, to be honest with you, but this is the one that you're seeing because it is on Roadracer. And The Great Cat, Beethoven on Speed. It's not a classic in terms of metal, but I just love the attitude that she has. I mean, she's supposedly a classically trained musician. The package that this is put together with the names of the songs, there's a quiz inside which is completely ridiculous. It's multiple choice with questions with things like who wrote Beethoven on Speed. It's Beethoven, and a list of the other composers, and it's completely over the top and ridiculous. And it's The Great Cat, and the shop label. I actually got this as a VCLT from a viewer, which was a fantastic surprise. But even the shop put very fast metal. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's fun. And it's one of those ones you put on and you think, oh my god, I'm not playing that again. But then you kind of go back to a year or two later because it is just a bit of a laugh. And last but not least, we started off with Mark G with a C, and this being a response to his video, could only really finish on Zentrix Dilute Taste. Mark has his own story about this one, which I'm sure you all know. But that's my Roadracer collection. A very, very quick run through. In fact, a lot quicker than I was expecting. But let me know what your favourite releases are on Roadrunner and Roadracer. Do check out Mark's original video. He has got some amazing, mostly CDs, but they're OGs, and salivating watching it. So do check out that video as well. As I say, link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.